Hey folks, walk with me. Well, I've had a flurry of noise. Not the noise that you want here in the woods, not the beautiful birds or even the rustling of leaves or whatever. Heavy machinery noise, I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna hope for the best at the moment. But in any case, I don't wanna make this a super drag of a video, but I have noticed there seems to be something happening. Not just on my channel, but sort of across YouTube and sort of beyond that, in the realm of people and their experience feeling isolated and lonely these days. And it's not shocking, right? The pervasiveness of social media and texting has really stripped away a lot of things, and then the addition on top of that of remote work being so prevalent, takes people even out of that, although I understand why it's desirable, takes people out of the realm of in-person interaction at the workplace as well. And even something like, we went from having to have a landline and call people, so you were usually out with people or going over to people's houses or whatever, to having a cell phone so you could kind of talk to people wherever, to having just this very simple way to text. So now you don't even have to hear another person's voice, and you can just text. And I understand the ease and the enjoyment of why those things are handy, right? The asynchronous capabilities that you have there. But all of those things make it very unsurprising that isolation and loneliness, or the sense and the feeling of that, seems to be dramatically on the rise lately. And top that isolation Sunday off with the whipped cream of social media and the ways in which that, again, just keeps people by themselves, probably acting in ways and saying things that they in many worlds wouldn't normally do, right? Sometimes I think of like the ways in which people interact or communicate with other people on social media almost as like the angry drunk at the bar that everyone wants to avoid, because they're like, I don't want to deal with this guy, like it's so drunk and so angry, it's never happy, never helpful, never supportive, just always wanting to pick a fight, criticize and ridicule everyone. Sometimes that feels like it's that's what social media does to people as well. It makes a lot of them the angry drunk in the room. So that's the setup here of, I think isolation, or feelings of isolation, feelings of loneliness are on the rise. I have had that as like a strong foundation in my life since I was little. I don't remember I've always said the most one-word answer that I would ever give someone if they asked me, what was your childhood like? I would say lonely. I was always lonely. And that persists today. And I have to constantly try to overcome it. One thing I noticed recently, which is really what the crux of this video is about, and I don't know if this should serve as a warning, maybe seems too punitive, but maybe just like a heads up, that sometimes you do things that are really well intended, and part of your intention is to have some interaction, right? To have some sort of like team spirit or family spirit with something, community spirit, right? I have a few videos already up on this short playlist so far. We're early on into it anyway, about community and community building. Sometimes you'll do well-intentioned things to try to put stuff out into the world, to find a buddy to do stuff with, to have some engagement, some interaction. And how if that doesn't work out, and if you don't get that back, how it can really kind of amplify or can just sort of put a stamp of approval on all the thoughts that you were trying to overcome in the first place, right? You're trying to overcome these feelings of isolation and loneliness by putting yourself out there, right? Being a bit vulnerable to ask people to engage with you in a certain way, and when they don't, and it's just sort of crickets, how that can be like, oh, I was right. This is all very desolate, and the isolation and the despair is very real. So my 3 relatively recent examples. A couple of years ago, I started a nonprofit. Every time I put a video out, at least on this playlist, I put a link to that nonprofit in the description and ask people that if they would like to support the channel to make a donation there. And part of the reason why I wanted to start the nonprofit was, one, the things that we're set out to do had always been important to me. And I thought that I had concepts that could be additive to the issues that we wanted to try to help solve. But another big part of it was I thought I could assemble this team, right? And I thought I could have really rich, meaningful engagements and interface with people in a way around a collective goal that would potentially at least be a fertile ground for some sort of meaningful connection. Or even if it's not a meaningful connection, a contributing to the same meaningful endeavor together, right? Just sort of the collective spirit of it all. What I found, at least thus far, and this is something that I need to figure out sooner than later, is it's really hard to get people who join you early on to engage. They fall off really easily. You have to beg and plead and then still oftentimes get crickets. Maybe eventually you get a person or two to help out with a thing or two, but it's really sparse, and there's many more. Yeah, I don't have a better way to put it other than there's many more crickets than there are warm bodies coming to help and offer. And this isn't to put anyone down or call anyone out, but it's just to say, it's probably as much of a failing on my part as anything else. My inability to rally the troops, if you will, or really get people excited about any particular thing. But it was surprising, right? I thought for sure we would all be coming together around a particular thing, and it's just been really hard. Another thing, this is really, really recent. I'm actually going to have a video coming out about this soon, not about the loneliness aspect of it, but of the idea. I've been going out with my kids periodically and doing like litter pickup. Obviously I like to walk a lot. I bought one of those like grabber things that has like a trigger, which is what I'm doing. And just pinches the litter, put it in a bag, go on and look for the next thing. Help keep the neighborhood clean, sort of give you an added little bonus for your walk. And I had posted in a community Facebook group, or maybe more than one group, definitely more than one group, that like if anyone would like to join me ever for a little litter pickup walk, like if they go for walks anyway and we're sort of in the same town or neighborhood, like we could organize. If they don't have a grabber, it's fine. Like they could hold the bag, or they could have a glove. But just that it would be a way to connect with somebody who was sort of a similar mindset, right? That was my idea. Not only would you get some interaction, but maybe it opens the door for more, because maybe it's sort of like a very much a like-minded person. I got like 3 likes on the post or something, and then no one who said, oh yeah, message me, let's try to find a time to do this or see if we can make it work. So that's, sort of another one where it was a little bit like, ugh. But maybe I just need to keep trying, because social media posts get buried and whatever. The right person didn't see it at the right time. And then the last one is sort of tied to the nonprofit as well, is fundraising. So again, and I don't think that this is particular to us, it's pretty systemic, but I've tried several different ways to get people engaged to help fundraise. And the most successful fundraiser that I've ever had raised less than $200. And again, that's not a knock on anyone or anything. I'm sure it's as much, or maybe the utmost, my failing as like, I don't know how to fundraise well. But the lack of it and the effort that I've put into it to have still just sort of like minimal interest or engagement, it's very disheartening. And disheartening is a close cousin to despair, and despair is a quick road to loneliness and isolation. And so I just wanted to put this out there to share, to talk about my vulnerabilities and shortcomings, and just sort of say I've felt lonely my entire life, and it can be really hard to try to do things to, go against that entrenched inclination of loneliness and isolation, and take proactive measures, right? Here in America, we're very, pull yourself up by your bootstraps nonsense and all this stuff of like, make it happen. So trying to put words to action or feelings to action, and still coming up completely flat, not just short, completely flat, can be fairly disheartening. So just wanted to say, if you're in the same boat, or if you're trying something similar and having, the same experience, you're not alone. I don't know if that's helpful at all, but it's true. All right, folks, we've walked for a little over 12 minutes, so thanks for walking if you did. If not, thanks for watching until the end. That definitely means a lot. And as always, I will see you in the next video.